きなもの？もちろん可愛い男の子よ。あら、そんなに怖がらないで。食べたりしないから。今はね。
What?
You naughty, naughty. You teasing me, you naughty, naughty.
What's up, my nerd friends? Today, we are going to explore how good Azure actually is. Firstly, I'm going to explain how Azure works. I know the EN community can read. Don't worry, I got you. Even you already know what Azure Kit is, I would strongly advise you don't skip this part because I actually done a lot of testing for various interactions and some details that people miss out for full potential Azure. Secondly, I'm going to compare Azure with other detonators, 6-star ones. I'm sorry, Corax, you're not invited to the party, such as Sharona, Regal, and Battle. I just want to say this comparison is not about who is going to get replaced because let's be honest, no one is getting replaced here. Each unit do different things, which is a good thing. Furthermore, there's no one stopping you for using more than one detonator, so there's that. And lastly, I'm going to give my closing thoughts and should you summon. You know what? I'm going to let you know right now. Yes. When you see Nerfa release a summoning video, you know it's a good banner. Or limited. Let's not talk about that. Now, the Azure Kit. Firstly, the active skill. Azure can choose any traversable tile to project a Cerulean Mirage. If you don't know what traversable tile is, it's basically tiles that you can walk over. So if an enemy is covering the tile, it's not a traversable tile. If there's rocks on the tile, it's not a traversable tile. Or if you are on it, it's not a traversable tile. It's pretty easy to understand. And of course, that includes something like traps or obstacle. You know what I mean. Which can be used to cast Mirage Strike or Mirage Transformation each round. The way you trigger the Mirage Strike or Mirage Transformation is by clicking on the Mirage itself. And you can only use either one once per turn. Mirage Strike will deal 200% damage to enemies within 12 tiles in a diamond shape. Keep in mind this is not an AoE damage, not like a detonator style, so you can damage like a 2x2 enemy maximum one time. Or you can use the Mirage Transformation, which is converting the tile Mirage is standing on to blue. And if you unlock Ascension 3, you also get this line, which immediately trigger a Mirage Strike that deal 2.5 more damage if there is already a Mirage on the selected tile. So basically kind of like a critical damage thing. You actually could use the enhanced Mirage Strike and the normal Mirage Strike at the same turn. So the testing part. I tested multiple interactions will need to be tested. For example, an enemy occupying the Mirage, what will happen? So what will happen is you cannot select the Mirage, but the Mirage will still do the chain combo, which I'll talk about later. And of course, you cannot use the enhanced Mirage Strike because you can only choose a traversable tile and an enemy covering it is not. This is same with you standing on it. If you yourself standing on it, you cannot select the Mirage as well. I also tested using the Mirage skill and then create another Mirage on the same turn. Can you use the Mirage skill again? Well, no. You can only use maximum once per turn, even though you create another Mirage. And I want to test if you can stack multiple object abilities on the same tile. For example, Battle Franco, which you can. Nadine Lantern, you can. Unimet, object thingy, you also cannot. Royce B, you cannot. Wendy's Feather, no. Lester Mines, for some reason you could stack Lester Mines together, don't ask me why. Benny and Kuro active skill, which summon Kuro on the board, no. And also surprisingly, it become an untraversable tile, which you cannot walk over. And Mirage or Lantern, you can walk over it, but Benny and Kuro one, after placing it, you cannot walk over it, which is kind of strange. And Amy Flag, which will also replace the Mirage. And Twordog, which does nothing. So if you're ever curious about whether you can stack multiple objects, I guess you have your answer now. Generally, you cannot, except Lester Mines, which is an anomaly. Twordog explained. Now, to the chain combo. I'm just going to specifically talk about the Ascension 2 because that's the nuts begin. At 2 chain, you will deal 130% damage to 12 tile in a diamond shape, and then the Mirage will also cast your tier 1 chain combo. This is pretty much the best chain combo on 2 chain ever. You are dealing 260% detonator style damage in a diamond shape whereas most people only able to do maximum like one cluster and doesn't have the double chain. It's nuts. It's actually nuts. And at 9 chain, you get 165% damage to 16 tile in a radial shape, but the Mirage only does your tier 1 chain combo. And at the last chain, which is the 12th chain, you will deal 175% damage to 2 surrounding cluster, and the Mirage will cast tier 1 chain combo again. So I also tested if you could cast the chain combo if the Mirage is covered by the enemy and yourself, which turns out the Mirage will still cast the chain combo. Even though it's covered, it's still active. And the Mirage chain combo will also cast even though the real Azure doesn't cast the chain combo. So this is particularly useful when you place the Mirage near a mall you want to kill and you walk away while Azure being the captain, so you can get the chain while you running away. Pretty cool. This pretty much makes Azure a really good captain because she pretty much always does damage as long as the Mirage is near a monster at least. And the equipment. So Azure attack will be increased by 20% if within 12 tiles in a diamond shape of a Cerulean Mirage. Keep in mind this equipment also affect your normal attack damage, and you can look at this star icon here to see whether it's affected or not. So based on how you place your Mirage, you can get more damage potentially. So you have to be pretty smart about it. For example, I will place my Mirage over on this location so that I can benefit my normal attack more as opposed to maybe placing it behind the enemy, right? But in the end, you should at least make sure your chain combo does get affected by the equipment, because her chain combo does a lot of damage and you want to make sure your attack get buffed during your chain combo. Now for the comparison, I actually done a lot of calculation for this, but I'm not gonna make this video too technical, so I'm just going to give you the final result. So there's 4 units to compare here: Azure, Regal, Sharona, and Battle. In terms of attack, raw stat, Sharona is actually the rank 1, and rank 2 is Regal, and rank 3 is Battle, and rank 4 is Azure. But if Azure equipment is active, she is actually the number 1 attack unit with 3,822. As opposed to Sharona 3,614. And against single tile monsters, turns out the best Aurorian for single tile is Regal. Regal actually absolutely crushed this competition because of the ability to attack diagonally, which is insanely strong against single tile monster because you can attack 2 times more than normal Aurorian, which can attack maximum 4 times. But since you can attack diagonally, you can attack 8 times against the single tile monsters with your normal attack. And you know, Regal hits pretty hard with his normal attack. The rank 2 is actually Battle because the Franco actually do surprisingly high amount of damage. If you have both of them on, the chain combo will be able to trigger the Franco to attack, meaning you get kind of extra normal attack. So yeah, Battle actually placing second against single tile monsters, and coming third is actually Azure. Azure does have the double hit with her Mirage and having pretty high stats when you are close to the Mirage anyway. And lastly, we have Sharona being the last place in this comparison, which not really fair for Sharona to be fair, because she does have a really good active skill that nuke a big enemy, and dealing with single tile monsters is not really her strong suit. And next up, we have against 2x2 enemy, and the winner is surprisingly Regal again. Regal is just a damage powerhouse. I don't think anyone else can beat Regal in terms of damage. But coming up second is Azure. Even though Azure lose against Regal here, but it's actually not too far of a competition. Regal actually only 16% better than Azure in terms of damage, but you know, Azure can convert at least 1 blue tile anywhere, or not really anywhere. If you want to get optimal damage, it's not really anywhere, but Azure can of course convert 1 blue tile every turn. Yeah, I think Regal and Azure is pretty close in terms of usefulness on a 2x2 enemy. And coming up third is Battle. So Battle, pretty similar to Regal, don't have utility, but she is coming up third, which can prove pretty much how strong Azure is already. But hey, you could use Battle with Azure, so it's not really fair to compare them since they both work so well together. And coming last is Sharona. Sharona just doesn't really do that much damage, unfortunately, but her teleport is useful, so don't count her out yet. Also, I just want to say this comparison is very biased and very unfair for Sharona because I'm not counting her active skill damage into the calculation, and her active skill does do a lot of damage, so I'm sorry Sharona. Do keep in mind she is pretty good if you have maximum breakthrough, but I assume most people don't. And against a 3x3 enemy, the winner is surprisingly Rigo again. So yeah, I guess he is king of Water Detonators for a reason, huh? Coming up second is Azure again. And for this time, the competition is very close. Rigo is only 13% better than Azure for a 3x3 enemy. And Azure can convert on top of that. Yeah, Azure is actually top tier. And coming up third is Battle, and coming up fourth is Sharona. I just want to say, against 3x3 enemies, Sharona should actually beat Battle in terms of damage if I do include the active skill damage calculation. So in reality, Battle should be ranked 4 on a 3x3 enemy, but it's okay. You use Sharona only when you really need the teleport anyway. So this is the last part where I give my closing thoughts. Azure is 100% a top tier unit in my opinion, because she is just incredibly flexible and the damage potential is just way too high for me to not like her. She can convert at least one tile every turn. Just think about that. And not only that, if you put her as leader, she can pretty much always attack even though you are running away from an attack, because the Mirage has no health. You cannot destroy it. It just always casts chain combo every turn. And the active skill is like hero. You just select whatever you want to convert. It's just crazy good. I don't know what else to say, man. It's just so good. And on top of that, the flexibility of just do a big burst damage is also pretty good. I think Azure has just way too much flexibility and higher amount of damage. And the most important part, Azure is actually pretty fun to use because you actually need to give some thought to it. You actually need to think where you should place your Mirage so you can get the optimal amount of damage. And I really like a little bit of more strategy in the game, a little bit more complexity. While I do love my just Unga Bunga team where you don't really think too much, just convert tile and hit people, a little bit of complexity units like Azure is definitely very fun to use. So again, should you summon? Hell yeah, go ahead and summon. I don't think you will ever regret summoning for this banner because Roy is also a really good unit. And as for people who are saving for anniversary, I pray you good luck of getting Azure while you're going for Reinhardt or whatever coming in the anniversary. Good luck, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace.